Hello everyone, welcome back to my blog. Today, the topic that I'm going to discuss is requirements traceability metrics. Requirements traceability matrix, as the name itself says, it's a column combination. In simple words, row column combination is always a table, so that's a matrix. Traceability is that going back to where from you have come. So, if we talk about a project, traceability would be that you are going back to the requirements. You have come from the requirements to the development of the project. So going back to the requirements means you are trying to, from what is built, you are going back to the requirements to see that is the product that is built is same as what were the requirements. So that is the traceability. uh, so it means that you are trying to find the trace of the requirements. This is done so that you can monitor 100% of testing is done in the project. It is not only to see that you have done 100% testing. This is basically done so that you are aware that there is no requirement that is missed, because when you will trace back the requirement, you should see all the count of requirements that were there as the part of your documentations. So this is a very important phase which is usually handled in the projects, so that going forward you do not hear back from the business or from the stakeholders that something was missing and it was not done as it was told. Because this thing usually happens in the projects, that sometimes they come back that we had told that this thing is supposed to be done. And if you have RTM, in that case you are sure to trace back that what was told by them and how much you have covered. So it provides the full coverage and it follows 100% coverage rule. So what is 100% coverage rule? To explain that, I'll explain you this process along with example. So you can see my screen. I am on Excel right now. If you see this, this is a kind of a Excel document that I would say that is usually prepared. So this is RTM. I have written in short form. It's requirement traceability matrix. So here, if you see, you have 100% test coverage rule. Means that you are covering 100% of what is your requirements. So what happens is, how are you checking what were the requirements? That is taken from business requirements documents, functional requirements documents, or the software requirements documents. Every document that you have which is having the requirements, you are taking that into consideration when you are actually working on RTM. So here what we have, the test scenarios. So what is a test scenario? Test scenario is that what we are going to test. So here, if we talk about our current situation, we are taking an example of Gmail Compose. So it can be equivalent to any functionality that you are supposed to take care of in your project. Let's take one module, that is a compose. So what will happen here is, you will say that your first case that you are going to handle is Gmail Compose. This one to many you will understand here. So you see, your test cases in this Gmail Compose functionality that you are supposed to test, the test scenarios that you will handle is, first is, if you're this is testing of Gmail Compose. So what will you see, that you are seeing that sending email with the blank body. If you are sending blank body in the email, how is it responding? If you try rich text option, because you have multiple options in font, so you will try with various font options, be it rich text or any option that you like. You will test that how is your mail, how is the look and feel, and how is it sent. When it is sent, how is it sent? Then composing a mail with no subject, and if you try to send, then if you are getting any message or not, and no email address into. For example, you keep an address in CC or BCC but not into. So you want to see that how is your Gmail compose working. So these are the test scenarios for a given condition, which is Gmail compose. So here if you see, for one functionality you have multiple mappings, means one to many, as in for one functionality you have many test scenarios that you are supposed to test. So uh, then we have the test cases. So now test cases is actions that you are performing on the test scenarios. So on these test scenarios, what actions you will perform, that are called as the test cases. So if you see here, I take the first test scenario, that is TS underscore C email underscore 01. That is checking sending email with blank body. So for this test case, what you are supposed to do? You definitely need to first log in into your account to test anything. So login in itself is a test case under this test scenario. Then you have click on compose mail, because you are supposed to test the compose functionality, you have to click on compose. Then you have don't enter text. So you will not enter text because you want to see that what is happening if you are entering the blank body. So you will not enter the test. So then you will enter the subject because you are entering a blank body, but subject you will enter, and then you will click on send. So these are the five test cases for the test scenario, which is click, check, sending email with the blank body. For this test scenario, we have these five test cases. So now if you see, the requirement ID is this. Requirement ID that you have is Gmail compose. This is one, that is Gmail compose. So here in this requirements ID, you have as of now created four test scenarios. You see here we have four test scenarios for this requirement ID, which is Gmail compose. And for the very first test scenario, we have this test case, and this test case is having all these things that you are supposed to do to check that are you able to send a blank email with a blank body or not. So for first test scenario, we have the test case, and this test case is covering all these things that you are supposed to test. This is the test case. So for example, you have written all these things. So what will happen is, here you will actually move all the functionalities down, all the test cases that you have other apart from this, they all will be moved down, and then you will have all these test scenarios. You will move all these test scenarios here, and you will delete them, because these all are the part of, if you merge it, um, okay. So you see, for the first test scenario, you have these much test cases. So that is, you will this is, you have to copy the test case here, and you will copy it here. So now you can see that for the first requirement, that is compose a mail, you are having a first test scenario to see that you can send a blank body or not. And to check the blank body, you have test cases that you need to log in, you need to compose, and enter the data, or do not enter data, and subject you will enter, and you will click on send. So this is the RTM. RTM for the given condition. Similarly, for this condition, you will create the test cases, and then you will add these test cases to the this is the requirement id one only for the one that it would be the test scenario 2, and under test scenario 2 we will have test case which are under category test scenario 2. So that is how it is done. That is RTM, which is for you. And when you are sending this RTM to the business or internally to your teams, then it would be something like this. This is the BRD section. So this is something you are saying that in BRD section, what you are testing is under mailing. That is the you can, in this section you can find this functionality that you are going to test in the documentation, that is BRD. Similarly in FRD, you say that compose mail is the section wherein you will find this scenario that you have tested in RTM. So here you are writing what you have done here. For this test scenario, these are the test cases, and whatever is the status that you have. For example, I say one is blocked, and somewhere you have the failed test cases, be it failed or something is blocked. All these are the defects until something is passing. Anything that you have which is not passing is a defect. So you will write the defect id, and in defect id, that these defect ids will be taken care by the testing team, by the development team, and they will make sure that these defect ids are removed. And when you will do the retesting of your entire this scenario, in that case you will make sure that this test ids are removed, and once they are removed you should actually have pass everywhere. That means you are going to test the requirements, that all the requirements are met and they are passed, they are without defects. This is very important area, because this should be done in a project. Companies do take care of this thing in a very proper way, because you need to have that report with you. This thing can be done by the testing team, or it can be done by the business analyst or the product owner. See, product owner or business analyst is somebody who is taking part in a lot of things that you are doing. So that is how it is done, and this is a frequently asked question in interviews. If you are applying for the business analyst interviews, then in that case you will have this question which is extensively asked. So you should be very well clear about the concept. If you have any queries in context to this, you can write to me in the comments, and I'll definitely respond to you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.